Today we are in a dense urban quarter with clearly defined plot boundaries. Most of the buildings here contain multiple residential units. These are buildings that cannot grow but must change. And this is a crucial point. When space is finite, planning becomes decisive. Behind one of these facades lies a room that is a children's bedroom today and must be something entirely different tomorrow. A guest room, a workspace, or both at once. The question is not whether needs will change, but whether the room is prepared for that change. In contemporary urban districts, living space is maximized mathematically. Square meters are allocated where they sell best. Open plan living and dining areas. Facades with balconies. Rooms without immediate sales impact lose quality. Children's rooms almost always fall into this category. Formally they exist. Functionally, they are often undersized. A children's room that can be used meaningfully should be around 15 square meters. Only at this size can sleeping, learning, playing and storage be separated without the room blocking itself. In optimized floor plans, this area is rarely found anymore. Instead, rooms are created that are sufficient on paper, but remain under permanent functional tension in practice. The room we are looking at is a typical example. 11 square meters, not unusual, but at the lower limit of what works in the long term, especially once further constraints are considered. Of the 11 square meters, a full square meter is lost due to the door position. Necessary circulation space that can neither be furnished nor meaningfully used. This area is structurally lost. What remains is a room measuring 2.25 by 4.25 meters, roughly 10 square meters of usable area. But even this area is not freely usable. With a room width of only 2.25 meters, any additional furniture depths along the long walls would immediately feel oppressive. Conventional wardrobes or shelving would reduce circulation so severely that the room would collapse functionally. The room also has a large window along one of the long sides. This effectively eliminates the wall entirely for tall furniture. For the bed, there is practically only one viable option. Placed on the left, it would block access to the room. Along a long wall, a 2 by 1 meter bed would immediately consume half the space. This leaves only the short wall on the right. The ceiling height is 2.55 meters, so there is limited opportunity to build upward. The room is therefore only not small but highly determined. Almost every decision is already predefined. Not by taste, but by geometry. A family with a young child has just moved into the apartment. So how do we deal with the room now? The first step is not furnishing, but perceptual correction. In narrow rooms, color determines proportion, not objectively but visually. That is why not all walls are treated equally. The two short end walls are painted a dark green. The two long walls remain white. This contrast changes how the room is read. The dark end walls visually recede. The room appears deeper, calmer, more ordered. The long walls guide the eye and maintain width. The green is not decorative, it is functional. Dark, muted green tones have been proven to be calming, reduce agitation, and are particularly suitable for children's rooms where play, learning, and retreat occur simultaneously. The floor is deliberately kept quiet. The beech parquet brings warmth without visually dominating. Its uniform tone stabilizes the surface, grounds the room and forms a neutral counterpoint to the dark-end walls. In the first phase of use, the room is consistently aligned with the needs of a toddler, not future scenarios. For a child up to 6 years, a 1.40 meter long bed is sufficient. More surface area would bind space without offering functional added value. This leaves enough room next to the bed for a comfortable armchair for closeness and rituals, such as evening reading. The room deliberately contains only the elements that are actually used in this phase, and an artwork in green tones with a red bird as a calm focal point. The changing table is positioned centrally in front of the window. Not by chance. Daylight is functionally relevant in this stage. At the same time, the furniture remains low, though the walls can act as surface, not as barrier. The storage units for baby equipment are kept slim and pushed to the end wall. This keeps the room legible along its length and provides sufficient circulation, even when the new inhabitant occasionally receives several visitors at once. A square rug picks up the green tones of the room without repeating them. This creates coherence without visual friction. From around 8 to 14 years of age, the focus shifts. Less care, more independence, less closeness, more structure. In the use phase, the third dimension is actively used. A loft bed lifts the sleeping area off the floor and creates space below for wardrobe and desk. This is an IKEA solution, not out of frugality but logic. Between 8 and 14 years of age, furniture is heavily used, stickered, scratched. At the same time, the desire to no longer have a kid's room is already foreseeable. The furniture must function, not age. The setup is complemented by 2 matching wardrobes. They are deliberately grouped and aligned as a compact block. This creates a clear closing zone that frames the room laterally without cutting its depth. On the wall opposite the bed, an open cabinet only 40 cm deep is used, leaving sufficient circulation space. And yes, the rug from early childhood has survived. The open structure of the shelving makes contents visible and forces selection. Important in a room that cannot grow. Individual closed boxes absorb chaos selectively, without dominating the system. Also from early childhood, now in a new position, the artwork with a red bird. Depending on the child's interests, objects can be placed deliberately above the storage zone. Not in the way, not within reach, but as a personal marker. Identity without consuming additional space. The stepped storage unit with integrated boxes take on several functions. In addition to providing storage, it offers easier access to the loft bed and can also be used as seating. The room is organized along its length. Storage and circulation are placed at the edges. Around 5 square meters remain freely usable in the center. The sense of generosity here does not result from square meters, but from the decision to deliberately leave space unplanned. In the final development stage, the children's and youth room becomes a fully fledged, permanently usable space that can continue to function as a workspace or guest room even after the child has moved out. Built-in furniture is now introduced. Not temporary, but structural. The bed is no longer positioned as a classic loft bed, but set at the height of the windowsill. Pull-out wardrobes are integrated beneath the bed. Storage disappears into volume, not into floor area. Access is lateral. All three wardrobe modules remain easily accessible as needed. Additional storage is created in the form of 3 large pull-out drawers beneath the steps. A niche is integrated into the side of the bed, equipped with charging ports and functioning as a bedside table. A second niche is located at the foot of the bed. In this example, the bed has a sleeping surface of 2 by 1 meters, but could also be widened to 1.40 meters and thus used as a double bed. Additional storage is created above the bed in form of a wall cabinet 40 centimeters deep. With an 80 centimeter distance to the mattress, the area remains airy and usable, without creating a sense of confinement or crawl space. On the opposite wall, an L-shaped storage wall with an integrated desk is created, now at adult working height. No longer for a single life phase, but for changing uses. Work, guest, retreat. Or initially still as an adult children's room. Along the rear long wall, shallow sideboards can be added. Once again, the center of the room remains free as movement space. Optionally, a small recamier can be added as seating. The floor plan shows the result of consistent planning. A small room that functions for decades, not through size, but through attitude. The rug and the artwork from childhood are deliberately retained, not out of nostalgia, but continuity. The room still feels coherent because it is held together not by seams, but by structure. It remembers without standing still. We leave the room, not because it is finished, but because it has fulfilled its task. What works here on a small scale is the same attitude on a larger one. Space is finite. Change is certain. Good planning creates room to move. Over years, not trends.